up getting to Florida shores. So we're proud of really leaning in on all these issues. We think it's very important. Obviously, if we had a different administration, be a lot easier because you'd be able to actually deal with the problem at its source. As it is, we've got to use the tools we have. So in February, we were in Jacksonville and we proposed strong legislation to curb illegal immigration, both deterring illegal immigrants from coming to Florida, but also holding people accountable within Florida who were involved in illegal immigration. And so we made that promise. We said that we were going to go big. And today we deliver on that promise by signing Senate Bill 1718. And even the New York Times admitted this is the strongest legislation against illegal immigration anywhere in the country. What the bill does is a number of different things. This makes Florida the largest state in the country to do full E-Verify for employment. And that's important because if people are going to come if they get benefits, and so what you want to do is say there's not benefits for coming illegally. You're either here as a native or you come legally, and those are two fine things, but to come across the border and end up getting benefits in Florida, does not make sense. So we already have, it's already against the law for someone to be employed if they're here illegally, but the E-Verify provides a way to make sure that that's enforceable. So we think that that's something that's going to make a big difference. Senate Bill 1718 also enhances human smuggling penalties in Florida and subjects offenders to prosecution under the Florida RICO Act, which was a recommendation from the statewide grand jury that we had. And so if you're knowingly transporting illegal aliens into Florida, you can face up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine per offense. If you're caught transporting 5 or more illegal aliens or an unaccompanied illegal alien minor, or you have a prior conviction for human smuggling, you can get a $10,000 fine and up to 15 years in prison. Now, at the end of the day, you wouldn't have the illegal immigration problem if you didn't have a lot of people that were facilitating this in our country. And so in Florida, that's not a good bet for you to do that here, and this bill shows that that's the case. The bill also prohibits county governments and NGOs from using tax dollars to provide IDs for illegal aliens. It invalidates out-of-state licenses issued to illegal aliens, and it makes it a felony for illegal aliens to use a fake ID to gain employment. We don't have in Florida, and we shouldn't have, driver's licenses for illegal aliens. A lot of people across the country who want open borders, they want driver's licenses, and you have it I think in California and a number of these other states. We've never done that, but what happens is you have some of these local governments, they're actually working with private groups to generate ID cards to be able to be used as if that makes you legal to be here. So we're not going to recognize that. We're also not going to recognize a driver's license from California that was issued to somebody here illegally or these other states. And so we're making sure that in Florida we're doing it legal and we're doing it right. The bill, and part of, I think, that the issue, with the because you're going to hear from an Angel wife, you're going to hear from Rep. Michael, Angel Mom, and that's really important. When you have somebody here illegally committing criminal offenses against our own people, those crimes would not have been committed if they just weren't brought in illegally. And so that's a huge thing, and it's something that we spend a lot of time on, and that's important. It's also the case that even somebody not committing crimes, it's imposing huge costs on our community. And one of the ways it imposes huge costs is medical costs. Because you show up to an emergency room, they treat you. Doesn't matter if you're legal or illegal. Of course, if most of the people here illegally, or probably all of them, they're not paying for any of the services they're getting. You're paying for it as taxpayers. And so we started in 2021 collecting with our state agencies data on healthcare costs for illegal aliens, and we found that this is a lot of money. During the 2021-22 fiscal year, healthcare costs for illegal aliens in Florida was nearly $340 million, and taxpayers were on the hook for 2/3 of that cost. So the Biden administration is trying to increase those costs. They want to actually use Medicaid to cover illegal aliens, which we don't support and won't do in Florida, but that's their vision in terms of what they want to do. But what the bill does is it says you have to collect data at the hospital level about care that's being given to people here illegally, because we were able to identify some. We think that there's a lot more, and the public deserves an honest accounting of how much this is costing us in terms of services, and health care is probably number one. And then, as I mentioned, we also secured an additional $12 million for the illegal alien transport program to sanctuary jurisdictions. A lot of these sanctuary jurisdictions, they say they want open borders, they say that nobody's illegal, they get mad when people want to enforce the border, and yet when these people, the illegal aliens, are brought to their jurisdictions, they scream bloody murder. You saw it in Martha's Vineyard, you see it in New York City, you see it in these other places, and the reality is it's shining a light on how absurd the federal government's policies are. We have to stop this nonsense. This is not good for our country. And when even sanctuary jurisdictions are saying they can't bear the burden of it, you know this is no way to run a government. This is no way to have a country based on the rule of law. This is no way to keep your people safe. So today we are acting with the strongest measures yet. We're proud of the legislature for stepping up and for getting this done, but we're bracing for some turbulent times ahead. And I think when you have a president who's turned a blind eye to what's gone on the border, I don't think he's even visited the border the whole time he's been in office. When you have that, you're likely to see it get a lot worse. So we're protecting Floridians with the full extent of our powers to do that. But it's sad. It's sad to see what's happened. It's sad to see these images of the lawlessness. It's sad to hear the stories of the people that have been victimized by people coming across the border. It's sad.